All right. Hey, everybody. So glad you are here to join us for our first webinar, How to Be a Bride in 10 Days. My name is Teresa. I am the Experience Director here at Val Cinema, and I'm very, very excited to get started with you. I also have Sean with me, and we also have Ben, who is behind the scenes. Hey, Sean. All right. So let's go ahead and get started. All right. So like we said before, this is How to Be a Bride in 10 Days, episode 1, 3 must-haves for your big day. So if you guys don't mind, if you're able to do so, go ahead and type in the Q&A. Now there's a chat portion and a Q&A portion in the Zoom. Just go ahead and click on that Q&A for me. And just type in when your big day is. We would love to hear when we're getting married. A few seconds to do that. Just go ahead and type in that Q&A in the Zoom when your wedding day is. Right, all right. Why is it not popping up? Well, let me make this a little smaller. Nope. All right, well, hopefully you guys can see that. Sean, can you see it on your end, the date?
Yep. Yeah.
Okay.
We have, I got two of them. One's December 6th of this year.
Okay.
Yep. And the other one's coming up here in August 21. Boom, boom.
Awesome. All right, so we got August and December dates. Thank you for helping me out there, Sean. I was like, oh no, what's happening? So we got December dates and an August date, depending on where you're located. I'm sure it's going to be like super sunny and tropical, depending if it's, wherever, or you might do something that's a little cold and more intimate. So super excited for those dates for you. Congratulations from us. So the reason why we named this series How to Be a Bride in 10 Days was because of the movie How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days. I love romantic comedies, and I just think they're super funny. And so I was inspired by Kate Hudson yelling at Matthew McConaughey saying, my boyfriend thinks he's fat. My boyfriend thinks I'm fat. I can't eat in front of you. I can't eat in front of you. So that was really the inspiration to this webinar. So we're going to go ahead and tell you about some of the upcoming webinars in this series. Again, we're so thankful that you guys decided to join us for this webinar series. The next one is called I Do Need Help Planning My Wedding, just to help collaborate with some other brides, get some ideas, and we'll give you a date on that. And you can see the other ones that we have underneath. We'll talk about the dress, the save the dates, what are some worst case scenarios, and then also talking about some send off ideas as well. So we're here for you to help you along the way. We have some time. We don't have 10 days. We have a few months. We got until August and we have until December. So super excited, and we'll be here for those webinar series for you guys. So let's go ahead and get started with episode 1, 3 must-haves for your big day. So the first thing that you need is obviously going to be a schedule. This is your day. This is you and your groom's day, but really it's your day, bride. And timing is everything. So you want to make sure that you have the schedule from when you start getting ready until the reception and the send off, just to make sure that you know what's going on and you can plan for everything. So this next slide shows us what are some most celebrated moments during your wedding day. So you have your first look. Of course, you want to be able to schedule that. What time is that going to take place? Are you even going to do a first look? Maybe you'll do something like a first touch. You want to know what time the ceremony is so everyone can be where they need to be. So guests know when to arrive, and really to break that down into smaller details. What time does the flower girl start walking? How far in front does the bridesmaids need to be in front of each other before the next one goes? So start thinking of things like that. Obviously, you want to kind of get a timing on the kiss so the photographer can be there whenever they need to be. You also want to know, people want to know when the party's going to start. When are we going to start dancing? When are we going to start toasting? And of course, when do we want to have that send off? So is it What is it? Where's the sun going to be? What angles can we really get to get that great send off photo? Are we going to be using sparklers, things of that nature? Now, when you're planning that, you don't want to just plan for the ceremony and the first look. You also want to be able to plan around getting ready, and some questions you might need to consider. How long is it going to take for all my bridesmaids to get ready? What time do they need to start getting ready, and what time do I need to start getting ready if I'm the bride? Are we doing traditional vows, or are we doing written vows? So that also plays a part in timing. Also thinking about where does the DJ need to, how is the DJ going to introduce us, and where's the bridal party going to stand? Are they going to do a little tunnel? Is it going to be super fun? Are we clapping? What's the music playing? So really just making sure we're getting in touch, like not just your perspective, but also considering the vendors as well. Also, like I said before, what if you don't do a first look? Maybe you want to do a first touch. Maybe you want to wait until the cocktail hour. So make sure you get that scheduled in so you can pass your schedule around. Again, this is your day. And then what time's the cake arriving? Things like that. When's the flowers going to be here? When do we need to expect that? So you can tell your team, hey, the cake's going to be here at 4:45. Will you make sure you're out there while I'm finishing getting ready? And also the most important question that a lot of brides forget is, when are you going to eat? When are you going to take time after getting ready to make sure that you're ready to walk down the aisle full of energy, full of love, all that jazz? And, this is your day, and make sure that you're taking care of yourself as well. All right. So if you don't mind, if you guys already have a schedule planned out and there's something that we didn't talk about or didn't mention, go ahead and just type that in the Q&A spot. And Sean, if anything just pops up, feel free to just share it out loud.
Yeah, definitely.
Awesome.
I got it pulled up.
So I remember when one of my best friends was getting married, she was waiting. I was supposed to be waiting for the food, and they never came. So we had to send them to Publix. So to go get chicken and stuff. So her catered wedding never got catered, and we had to kind of scramble at last minute. So that was not expected for the wedding, but just being ready and a problem solver, that's always who you want to have on your team. What if something goes wrong? Who are you going to call? Ghostbusters. All right, so we have something in that Q&A. What's that reading, Sean?
Yeah. It says, Carly said, I want a sparkler send off.
Okay.
Yeah. I will say my wife and I on our wedding day, we actually didn't think about the send off at all until it was a week of the wedding. And we didn't really know what any of the laws or regulations were for our venue. So we were like, well, let's just go ahead and do like the sort of the party, screamers, those noises. We're like, let's grab that and some poppers and just different things like that. And so we were like running around, obviously no money because we already had everything planned. And so we ended up going to Dollar General, grabbing a handful of like random party things. And throughout our wedding day, during our send off, we pretty much exited and went straight into stone gravel. And I guess all of the noisemakers that we bought weren't noisemakers at all. So literally everyone we handed to one, and they all put it in their mouth. And as soon as we opened up the door, the first step we take was like crunch, because it was all gravel, and everyone's there like with no noise, and they can't like woo or clap because their hands are like. So yeah, it was really awkward. So definitely plan your exit better than week of. Sure. That way you have a little bit of money to budget for it too, to make it worth it.
For sure. And also you want to consider like the send-off car too, right? Maybe you want an old fancy car. I have a Prius. It's not the most exciting car to get into, but very, very efficient on the gasoline. All right. So, and do we have another question as well in here?
Yeah. Okay. Our first look's common. We wanted to wait until I was walking down the aisle to see each other. Is one better to do than the other? Do you have any take on that, Teresa?
I do. So really, it's just a preference between you two. Sometimes a lot of couples that do the first look, they do that in order to take photos before the ceremony. So you can go straight from the ceremony to the reception. and without that cocktail hour and people waiting. So most people do that. Really, it's between you guys and between the couple. I personally like the not seeing each other and seeing the moment you guys see each other is walking down the aisle. I think it's a more intimate way. I'm big on that superstition kind. It's bad luck to see the bride before you walk down the aisle. And so that's what I would like to do when mine. But I've seen pros and cons to both. So really, it's just depending on you. Sean, do you have any takeaway on that?
Yeah, I mean, we ended up doing a first touch, and it's a little bit different. It didn't obviously take as much time necessarily, but maybe think outside the box. You always have that cookie cutter right at the corner of the building. The bride and groom reached around, holding each other's hands. Like that's what that was. But what we actually did was I was blindfolded, and it was literally right before I walked down the aisle. So my wife was able to see me, and it was a very intimate moment. And you can see the tears flowing, but you couldn't see the red eyes. But it was really good. And it was nice because she was able to see me a little bit, but then we definitely kept that reveal for the aisle. So there's even that hybrid if you want to look into something like that. Let me see. We actually got one more. I'm not planning on doing a first look. How long before the ceremony should I be ready?
I would say about an hour before, just for brides getting ready. You want to make sure that once you're ready, you don't feel rushed. A little downtime. I mean, I wouldn't do it any closer to your ceremony time. I just like to, maybe you want to have some girl time or some bro time right before you both walk down the aisle. And setting aside an hour is a really good amount of space to do that, to celebrate with your friends. Sean, do you have any other thoughts on that?
No, that's perfect. Maybe something just as something that other couples have done is they have done instead of first looks necessarily taking place with normally that first look you just think with your significant other, but there are a lot of first look that takes place with either it normally happens on more of a groom with the groomsmen has been common, but it typically is more of a bride doing a reveal to her bridesmaids. And so I would obviously allot a little bit of time there. Sometimes your photographer will take that opportunity to get a lot of those photos done. So if it's an hour before that you plan on wrapping up getting ready, then I would say that gives a good window. If you wanted to do some sort of fun reveal to your bridesmaids, and then still capture their reaction, maybe some photos together, and then that still gives you that 30 minutes to just kind of take to yourself. And all those logistics. So
Awesome.
Definitely think outside the box with the first looks, but I think an hour beforehand is perfect.
Awesome. All right. So thank you, Sean. And so the first thing that you need is the schedule. The second thing that you need and must have is the team. Teamwork does make the dream work. And again, this is your day and you can't do it alone. And it's very important to remember that you cannot do this. This is a big task. Planning a wedding, and you don't have to do it alone, right? You have your spouse, or your fiance, and you also have this lovely dream team of people. So usually when people get married, they're not really sure what the expectations, or if they can ask those expectations of their friends. Maybe you might be, a little on the younger side and haven't been a bridesmaid in many weddings, so you're not really sure what to expect. And, if you're planning a wedding, maybe you're not sure what you can expect from who. So this is just the traditional bridal party. And again, we can have different people, different players on our dream team, but we just wanted to do our traditional bridal party right now and do a little bit of a rundown for that. So obviously your maid of honor, she's going to be standing right next to you on your big day, and she's going to be helping you plan the wedding, help the bridal shower, throw the bachelorette party. So she's like your number one girl, your right hand man, your right hand woman. So she is it. She is your go-to girl when you feel like everything is about to fall apart. And then you have your bridesmaids. Now this can honestly be anybody from that you went to high school with, that you went from a child, maybe your work life now as an adult. And so those are to support you as well as your maid of honor in planning these details. If there's a potential stressor on your wedding day, like, hey, Sarah, I need you to make sure that Aunt Tiffany is not sitting next to Uncle Ben right now. Or, hey, I just need to make sure that I can't talk to my mother right now. So can you just make sure she's okay? So kind of those things to help you feel de-stress your day. And also when the time comes for toast and flutes and the favors, that they're helping pass those things out as well. And then also, if you have not considered a wedding coordinator, literally get you a wedding coordinator. That's not the same person as your maid of honor and not a bridesmaid. This is a third party that it can be your aunt, it can be your another friend of yours who's super organized. Literally your point of contact for all the vendors on your wedding day, because you don't want to happen like you don't want what happened to one of my friends to happen to you, where you're looking for your food and no one got in touch with them. And so you want to make sure that this is, again, relieving stress for you. And it helps also keeping you on budget as well. The mother of the bride and the mother of the groom, same thing. The mother of the bride is obviously going to support the bride, and the mother of the groom is obviously going to support the groom. So they're there to help with last minute adjustments. Also remember not to put a lot of pressure on them, because they want to be there to watch their babies get married and start the next chapter of their life. So, they're there to support, and they're going to want to do whatever it is. But also remember that it is also their day too, quote unquote. And then, they're just there at the beginning and making sure, like, hey, take a seat, whatever, just greeting people, hostess with the mostest right over there. And then you also want to have your makeup artist and hairstylist on deck anytime that you would like. They make you look like a goddess. So you always want to feel like Kim K that day and be like, hey, go ahead, I need some blush right here. So, or could you fix this or anything like that until you walk down the aisle. So they're there to make sure you're aesthetic. If you're going for the boho bride, or if you're going for ritzy and glamorous, they're there to help you throughout that day look your best. So maybe again, you have another thing to think about as well before I go into this slide is get ready for old friends, new friends, and worlds colliding, and just prepare yourself for that. And that's part of the scheduling, right? It is weird when worlds collide. It's not bad, it's just different. So preparing yourself for that when high school friends meet college friends, meeting your adult friends, and that might just be like a little bit of like, oh, I wasn't prepared for that. So just thinking of that. But it is very important to set your expectations with your bridal party, with your dream team, because again, this is your day and these are the players who are going to execute your day. And you want to make sure that you have people around you who are going to support you and uplift you and make you feel like the beautiful bride that you are. And also it's important to share your gratitude with them, because they have also invested a lot of time into you and your future. So just a little gift or something like that, or a little thank you card, handwritten note, or, even simply a high five, just, hey, thank you so much for all your help. I couldn't have gotten married without you. Of course, you want to make sure you have those little celebratory gifts. When you ask, of course, you can, the whole bride posal kind of thing, or bridesmaids proposal there. I was trying to say promposal and it didn't go quickly. So that's why I stumbled there. So, you want to do those cute little gifts. And then also the day of your wedding, when everyone's getting ready, like, hey, boom, here's the gift. Again, you want to make sure they feel appreciated, because they are pouring back into your life just as they poured into yours. All right. So we want to know who's on your dream team. Maybe there's somebody that we did not mention. And we want to, hear what your thoughts or who you have on your team. And Sean, maybe you can shed some light on to who you had on, or who you had on your dream team.
Yeah, so actually, could you extend a little bit? Is this more so just so everyone knows to put everything in the right context?
Yeah.
In the Q&A? Yeah. Expand just a little bit for the dream team. Is that more so who was a part of the bridal party, or more so out of the list of 6 people, that the six sort of roles if there was a seventh or like something extra.
If there was a seventh or something extra, yeah.
Yeah.
Glad I can put you on the spot.
I would just say that the bridal party, the groomsmen and the bridesmaids, they really set the tone more than just helping me out on the wedding. It helped set the tone because really they, if they've been, alive and they understand, and they've been to weddings, they understand that it's your special day, and you simply asking them about being in your party, there's just a level of like good weight that they feel, where they're like, okay, like I am one of the 6 or one of the 8, one of the however many, groomsmen or bridesmaids you have, like I'm one of them and I have a huge impact and a role to play, and they trusted me to carry that out. And obviously you got the givens, you got the family members and the sister and the brother that just has to be a groomsman. You got all those, logistics, but genuinely, for like my dream team, I was more so referencing around the bridal party, but they really set the tone for when the worlds collided, and when college friends met church friends, met family members, met my grandma, my dad's mom, it's a little bit different than my mom's mom, but when they met my grandma, like all of those worlds colliding, like my bridal party, like they were just able to make it fun and relatable, and not make it feel awkward in any way. So yeah, and we actually got a couple. Let me read this one real quick.
Okay, and then of course
says I got one. Says my aunt is doing my hair and my sister-in-law is doing my makeup. I also have my nephews seating people. So good seats.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Yeah,
that's not it. Yeah, like people don't know where to sit, and they need a little bit of direction.
Awesome. And the fact that you're utilizing family too to be a part of your big day, that I'm sure that makes them feel really important too, because like utilizing family members to help take the weight off, I'm sure that's really what every bride would like. So, and also we are going to do expectations of the groom. Obviously your groom is a part of your dream team, but we are going to leave that for another webinar as well, to just kind of expound on that topic as well. He is a part of your dream team. We don't want to leave him out because he is also important, especially on this day. And I think there's one more question. Is that right?
Yep. Let me see. Do wedding coordinators call all the vendors and set them up for me?
So I guess that would depend on who your wedding coordinator is. Now, if you're paying for a wedding coordinator, and that's the expectation of her, then I would definitely say yes and utilize her. If your wedding coordinator is your friend, then you just want to make sure you set those expectations, and what you would expect out of her. If it's one of your friends, I would say, yeah, here's a list of all my vendors. Would you mind making sure just following up with them, and then they could report back to you. Again, this is your day. You're the director of the show. So you could put as much responsibilities on people as you would like, as long as you express what those responsibilities are, and not just assume that people know what the rules, but the expectations are. Yeah, these are great questions.
I would say it definitely depends on the wedding coordinator. And I want to be respectful, but everything does come at a cost. Is from what I've sensed, and we know a lot of really good wedding coordinators we work alongside, and I know that they offer like the full service package where we're literally like everything they handle, and then there's more of like a customized option where how much of this do you want, here's 3 options, pick 2, like there's those sort of options, and then there are some really good professional wedding coordinators that just do or just offer day of coordination. So when you're referencing about the coordinator, if you didn't have a friend or you didn't have another individual that you hired, maybe check into your wedding planner to see if they operate on more of a day of coordination. But I would definitely say it does come down to cost. It is a huge thing. And I say that all because genuinely we talk with a lot of brides and grooms here. It's very rare that the planner we're doing literally all the communication with. However, please utilize them. They are doing what they do for a reason, and they're so good at just planning out all the variables and also digging and finding a lot about a company. I would say that that's something that they can do that probably you don't want to do. Like, you probably want to be able to look at 3 photos and say, I like this one, I like that one, and I don't like that one. Like, that's what you would want to do. But to like get a company and to like have to dive into like all of their reviews and review a contract and read all the fine print, like things like that, utilize your wedding coordinator, your wedding planner. And honestly, you're paying them for a reason. So put a lot of the responsibility back on them, but also know that some of it may fall on your plate, but it's normally the fun stuff. It's the dissecting and tasting all the foods. You're not going to send your wedding coordinator to do that. But if you want to pay the price and have them do, then literally they can align everything for you. So there are options like that.
Absolutely. And I think we have one more question. Is that right?
Yeah. Is there a difference between a wedding planner and wedding coordinator?
So I would not yes and no. I would say a wedding planner is somebody to help you with that schedule. But I feel like a wedding planner is a wedding coordinator, but a wedding coordinator is a wedding planner, but a wedding planner doesn't have to be a coordinator. So your wedding planner is probably going to be somebody who's scheduling things, while the wedding coordinator would probably do that, go above and beyond to help you set up with those vendors. But I would just make sure if you're asking somebody who says wedding planner, just say, are you kind of the same thing as a wedding coordinator? Just because semantics, different companies use different terms. So just be aware of that. Would you say the same thing, Sean?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, the wedding coordinator is definitely a wedding planner, but a wedding planner may not be a wedding coordinator. So wedding coordinator, again, is more like the day of kind of person, if you're willing to pay for that, or if a friend or a family member is willing to do it. All right.
And I didn't mean to keep it so short. I was just choking at the time.
It's fine. You know, I appreciate your sacrifice here. All right. And is that one more question I see? All right, cool.
No, we're good.
Awesome. We'll move on to our third must-have, and this is something that a lot of people have a struggle with. It's the release. It's giving up control. You have to remember, you had your schedule. You were the director. You put everything where it needs to be. You thought about all your places. You have your dream team who is going to execute what you've already planned. And now it's your time just to sit back and relax and enjoy the day. No matter what happens, you plan to a T, you have your team. So let's do this. Let's go. So if you're anything like me, then you probably know that it might be a little hard to release. So here's some suggestions on how to release control, especially on a day that's such an impact, such a milestone in your life. Your wedding day, right? Everything changes from that. Your name, so everything changes. So things that you can do is probably, relax. You worked hard. That calendar down to the second. Every minute has something planned. But you know what you need to do? You need to go to the spa the week before your wedding. You need to go get your nails done. You need to go relax. You need to go into, some sauna, just de-stress. So anything you need to do the week before your wedding, whatever brings you zen or brings you happiness, I suggest that you do it for sure. The next thing, again, how to release is to trust. Trust yourself and your planning and your team. You know who's on your side and you know who's there to support you. And they want this day to be just as fabulous as you want it. And then sometimes, like we've mentioned before, you might not have things go according to plan. And that's okay. If getting upset and wasting energy on anger on your big day is probably not worth it. So just say, okay, breathing in, it's fine. It is what it is, and we'll just move on. You can't recreate those moments, So just breathing and counting to 10 so you don't lose your mind on your bridesmaids, probably the safest thing for everybody. And then also remember that you're a boss bride or groom, and you're about to marry that sexy fiance of yours. You're about to see him down the aisle. You're about to change the name if that's your thing. You're about to get a ring on your finger. It is all about you. don't forget what this day is about. It's not about the photos. It's not about your friends coming together. It's not about other people. It's about you two creating a bond, committing to each other, and living your life together. And that's really what we should all care about on when planning our wedding, right? We usually forget that main thing because we're so big on details and trying to make sure we have everything fit that schedule. But at the end of the day, it's just you and your fiance living your best life. All right. So I know we told you 3 things, but you're welcome. We got a freebie for you. All right. So the aftermath of your wedding. So you got the schedule, you got your team, and you already know how to give up the release and give up control, or at least suggestions on how to do that. We'll see in August and December how that pans out. But, now it's time to live our happily ever after. And there's 3 take homes after the wedding, right? The wedding day is over, the party's over. We're in the car, we're headed to where we're headed to next. And this is what you're taking home with you. You're taking home your spouse, whether you like it or not. You put a ring on it. So here we go. You got his last name, or you kept your own, whatever side you decide, we support them both. You'll have that cake too. Sean, do you have any thoughts about the cake?
Yeah, mine didn't make it past a year. I will say that's the one thing on the wedding day that I did not think about was actually taking advantage of the cake that was specifically made. My mother-in-law made obviously the huge cake, but then she knows that I like my like chocolate cake with peanut butter chocolate icing. Like that's just, so she made my own like a little special cake, and sure enough, went through the entire day, didn't eat any of it, completely forgot about it. And we obviously kept the tradition. You got to wrap it and put in the freezer, and that thing freezer burnt after 1 year. So I did not have any of my cake that was made for me.
And so freezer burnt cake may not be the best thing, but at least you got the spouse, you got that home. And then the last thing, of course, that you'll be taking with you are just the memories, with videography and photography. That's a very big part of the wedding day. And so we want to kind of just touch base a little bit on that and creating those memories for you. So I'm going to pass it over to Sean. Again, Sean is the owner of Val Cinema, and so he's going to take it away from here.
Yeah, thank you so much, Teresa. Everyone give her a little silent applaud. See those hands. But no, as she mentioned, my name is Sean, co-owner here at Val Cinema. And I want to tell you a little bit about myself and my wife. Probably one of the regrets that we have. But before that, a little bit about us. We've been married for 5 years. We got a little one on the way. So we're super excited. First one going to be coming here in first week of September. So we're really stoked. But I will say the one thing just over the years that I realized is that we forgot so much about our wedding day. And being in, 5 years, it's difficult when you don't have much of that like memory. It's a great wedding day. You got some pictures, you got some videos and things like that. But it's one of those things that you regret. So years in, you just wish that you were able to remember a little bit more about that day. There were a lot of times where my wife and I, wanted to throw in the towel. And the only reason that we got to that spot is because we forgot. And genuinely, it's why I do what I do, why I'm a co-owner, not of a business, but of genuinely something I believe in. And that's remembering your story. And if you've contacted us, you probably maybe have done a little bit of digging, going into this, but we are a videography and a photography company. And the reason that I landed here and that I do what I do is because my wife and I said no to video. We ended up doing the exchanging of vows. We were debating on what we wanted to do, but we were like, let's just go ahead and do a personal written vows. Didn't know this obviously until after the math, but she wrote hers, I think, a couple of weeks beforehand. And the whole week was a blur. As I mentioned, we're running around a Dollar Tree trying to grab a fake non-noise send-off material. But I think it was 2 a.m. It was around 3 a.m. Bachelor party night. We get home, ready to settle down, and I was like, oh, I gotta come. So yeah, there were a lot of good emotions flowing at 3 a.m. literally day of my wedding. And so wrote vows for each other. We ended up exchanging them during our wedding day, and somewhere along the line, I could point fingers, but at the end of the day, the finger points back to me. But our vows, handwritten vows, got lost on our wedding day. And we did not know this until obviously far after our honeymoon. We're unpacking everything and we're trying to find, we had this cute little chest that we were going to put it in, and we were going to open it every anniversary and read it to each other. And it's just something that, as I mentioned, they got lost. And we wish that we had something that was able to display that moment. Because 5 years in, I can close my eyes and I can try to think, but at the end of the day, it would be so much easier if I can hear the words that came out of my mouth, and I can hear the words that came out of hers. That would pull us back to remembering why do we get married? You know, I love you, but why the heck? Like those moments, that's where I wish I could press play and hear myself, you know, and be like, oh babe, you just yelled at me, you know, do you hear yourself? You know, that was a sweet tone you used on the wedding day. Where'd that go? Like that's where sassy Sean could come out. But no, so genuinely, that's why we do what we do, is we want to take your wedding, because it is going to be all over the place, lots of different events happening. But our goal is, don't rely on friends, don't rely on family members to pull out their phone and capture that moment. Hire professionals that do it on a regular basis, that are your vendors. They're there literally as your as your paparazzi to capture everything that's taking place, and then creating some sort of memory, whether that be in regards to photos or videos. So that's a little bit about me, about why I do what I do, and a little bit about us and what we offer here. So what I actually want to do real quickly for you guys is I want to dive in a little bit to our packages. I'm actually going to open it up on mine, if that's okay, Teresa, just so it's a little larger. I don't know if anyone's using a phone, but I can just imagine that thing looking like that with all the little scribbles. So definitely take a look at this if you can. If you're on your phone, actually, I believe that you can zoom in on it. You can zoom in on Zoom. And if not, definitely just take a look at this. I will be emailing it over, afterwards. That way you guys can take a look at that. And obviously, I'm going to go over just a little bit about our packages, what we offer, you know, for videography and for photography. So here we love highlight films. The terminology, some companies use different things. All it really is it's just a highlight, almost a teaser to your wedding day. There are definitely short ones, you know, like Instagram length. You may have seen a couple of those out there. That would be more in that 30-second realm. We believe in more of the highlight focus here. I believe that anything less than 2 minutes worth of video, it's tough for us to actually portray everything that took place. We could do it, but there's going to be someone or something missing. So we found that sweet spot of a 2-minute video being the shortest one that we want to offer. And then, as you can see, if you're looking down on the premium package, we have a 6-minute option. We can definitely customize it and make it a bit longer. We have a couple clients that have wanted a little closer to that 8 to 10 minute range. And so we can definitely make that a bit longer. But as far as how our packages really are laid out, is everything here is not solidified. Once again, it's not solidified. I love customizing packages because most clients are going to possibly need around that 6 to 8 hour range. But what happens if you need 7 hours? Val Cinema doesn't look to offer a 7-hour package. However, we can actually customize that to fit exactly what you guys need for the wedding day. It's very needs based here. So we dive into the schedule as Teresa was talking about a little bit about the first looks, and when you need to schedule a lot of that, we can definitely help out. If you don't have a wedding coordinator or a wedding planner in place, we can talk through the schedule and make sure you're not spending extra hours. And the reason I word it that way is under add-ons. So we have extended availability, $200 per hour. So on a cost standpoint, yeah, I can definitely customize, and that's normally what I'm using to make those custom packages. But if you're just saying, you know what, I feel like I just need 8 hours of coverage, and we go into the wedding and 6 was only needed, and then there's an extra 2 hours where obviously we're going to use it, but that's money wasted. That's money that either you guys could have put towards your honeymoon, you could have put towards another vendor, you could have upgraded and got the next level for food. There's options like that. So that's one of the reasons that I want to make sure you're not overspending on videography, because we only offer 4, 6, and 8 hour packages. So that's one of the things I dive in very heavily with when I'm talking with clients, is about the hours, because it's so cliche just to throw out a number. But as I mentioned earlier, when you're dealing with a lot of people in the wedding industry, normally it comes at a cost. And so here it would be the hours. That's why we want to get whether it be the essential, the bare necessities, enough to get, the ceremony at least through that first part of reception, then yeah, look at that. That's a good 4-hour package. We've had a lot of 4-hour options, especially with COVID limited guest sort of approaches. And so we have that here. It's opened the door for a lot of elopements, but we'll never, close the door exactly to say a Catholic wedding. It's common for their ceremony to be around 1, 2 o'clock, and they have a good gap. The reception kicks off closer to 6, 7 time frame. So obviously, if they're wanting some of getting ready and some late night reception, I mean, you're talking about closer to a 10 to 12 hour package. And so we can definitely add on extra hours and customize it like that. So that's a little bit about how our packages work. Some other add-ons, we also love the rehearsal day option. This wasn't really something mentioned, but toast, sometimes it can take place on the rehearsal day. You're doing like a rehearsal dinner and you're having toast, then yeah, please let us know, so that way we can add that on and make sure we're there to capture those moments. And then if you're wanting to have an additional videographer, we have it there for 4 hours. The reason that we look into that is it's normally enough to cover the main events, which would be more so that ceremony through reception, getting a couple angles, as well as a good flow, a back and forth flow to your video. So that's really nice to have. I will say it's not something we as a company rely on. 9 times out of 10, we only have one videographer set up on the wedding. And hopefully you saw some of our work. If not, check it out. But our work kind of backs up the systems, the quality level that we can produce with one videographer. So we have it here as an option if you need to add it on, but it is not something that I'm going to be forcing, because our team is comfortable and I'm comfortable coming out and capturing it successfully with one camera. Or one videographer, excuse me. And then one other thing before I move to the photography portion is our full documentary edit. Clients love this. So I don't know how you were raised, but my parents, they literally, my dad was running around with a camera my entire childhood. But they ended up having their wedding video. Our full documentary is a little similar to that wedding video, where it's literally everything. But we go through, we remove a lot of the unnecessary moments, but we still obviously want to keep those sentimental main events in its entirety. So length on that full documentary will tend to be a little closer to the hour to 2 hour. And clients say, literally, I talk with them and they'll say, I don't really know if that's something we'll be able to necessarily put aside time right now to watch. And the word right now is what the highlight films are. The full documentary is more so designed for the 5-year, 10-year, think about, way down the line. That's normally where that is it's just nice to have a full length video versus just a highlight film. So we believe in offering you a bit more than that. There's actually a question real quick. If I do the full documentary, will I still get the raw footage? Yeah, good question. So here, raw footage and drone footage is actually free with all packages. So if you want us to remove either one of those variables, there's no cost for it. So it wouldn't really save you anything. So let's keep the drone footage, display your beautiful venue that you want us to come capture. And then obviously you'll get all of the raw footage as well. And maybe one question that may come up later is, what's the difference between raw footage and a full documentary edit? The raw footage will be everything, all separate files as it was captured. So that's where you're going to see the Val Cinema is human, and we're not the perfect put together highlight video companies. So you'll see all the raw footage. But the reason we give you that raw footage is so you can have that, whether that be piecing something together yourself, looking into different events. Obviously, it's going to be a little bit more cost effective, to look into the raw footage route versus adding on the documentary. But if you wanted more of that put together flowing video, then that documentary edit's going to be more in line with what you're wanting. So that's the videography. And then I want to dive in a little bit to the photography. So here it works very similar. We customize, and if you weren't able to look at the pricing for the video, it's identical pricing as it is for photography. So one service is not more expensive than the other here. We believe in having them at the same price. And so here you can still customize your photography. So if you wanted extra hours, we can definitely add that on to a couple of the packages. And you get all of your edited photos. As you see, we have the 150, the 250, and the 500. So we have a set amount of edited photos that are creatively, individually edited to a high standard. And then we also will provide you all of the raw photos. So that way you can, put those in a box. They're not going to be hanging on the wall, but they're really nice to have and sort through for the years to come. And then it works very similarly down on add-ons, where you can add on extra hours if needed. We can do rehearsal day, and we can also have that additional photographer. An additional photographer is sometimes added on if clients are wanting us for getting ready at 2 different locations. And when I say 2 different locations, it's more of a 20 to a 30-minute drive different location. If it's just down the road, I know that we can knock it out with one photographer and just budget time with each individual party. But if it's completely separate locations with a lengthier distance, then we may look into adding on an assistant photographer there, just so we're able to successfully capture you getting ready as well as your fiance getting ready, and then meet up for the ceremony. So that's the only time that we've added it on, but it works very similarly to videography, where we're comfortable. And if you ask us to capture it with one, we'll make sure it gets done. And then when it comes to booking both services, some clients ask if we have pre-established combined packages. Here, instead of that, because we customize, we like keeping it separate, so you can customize your video as you need, customize your photo as needed. And then if you bundle both, we'll actually apply a bundle discount to the overall price. And maybe one thing to answer something that gets asked commonly is, you can have your photographer and your videographer for 2 completely different schedules. So if you wanted to look into photography being all the way from the early moments of getting ready, one of the answers that came up was talking about some family members doing hair and makeup. If you want us there for those early moments for photography, but video is not necessary, then please have video show up a little bit closer to when the dress gets put on. There could be a little bit of an hour to a 2-hour difference there, which obviously comes at a cost. So I want to make sure you're not overspending in an area that you don't need to. So you may want photography there for a little bit longer than the video, and you definitely have that flexibility, because we don't have 3 options of combined package number 1, number 2, number 3. Pick your option. I completely separate them, and that's how I want you to view it. Let me customize your photography. Let me customize your videography. Show you what the price is different, so that way, separated, excuse me, so that way you can see what you're spending for each service. If there's a different direction you want to go in for one of the services and have the other here, I want you to be able to see that. But obviously, we'd love to take on both services and capture and produce those memories. So that's a little bit about our packages. We definitely want to open it up a little bit more for some more Q&A. So if you guys want to go ahead, I'm going to answer some of our frequently asked questions that clients have. But if you can, in the meantime, just start dropping them in that Q&A section, and then I can answer. We can answer them afterwards. So,
and then really quick, Sean, before you go into these questions, just a reminder, you may have saw in the registration, but after the Q&A, we're going to do a giveaway. So make sure you stick around for after that for a fun little gift. All right, sorry, go ahead.
No, that's perfect. So where are we located at? So our office is located in Atlanta, Georgia. However, we've serviced nationwide for the last 4 years, and here there are no travel fees. So definitely let us know where you're getting married. A location is not too large of a concern if you are getting married outside the U.S. borders. We have some clients who are getting married in Mexico, Bahamas, things like that, Honduras. That will probably be a case by case, and we'll have to, run a couple specific scenarios for that. But if you're getting married anywhere in the States, there are no travel fees or concerns there. So definitely don't feel concerned about that variable. What about COVID? So this has been, it's crazy. I would say it's been a season for us all. But one thing that we have tapped into is just being real flexible pertaining to COVID. So last year alone, we had, I think it was about 120, 130 weddings needed to reschedule. Essentially, they got told by their venue, by their state, whatever that is, that the wedding could not take place, and they had to pretty much postpone it to a future date. And 120 couples, came to us asking, what can we do? What can we move our services? So when everything hit the fan, we immediately knew two things. One, we wanted to be as flexible as possible. We wanted to be just a vendor that was able to adapt to any date, to any state, whatever that variable is. That's just something we wanted to be able to do. And then secondly, one thing that we really wanted was to be able to create an opportunity for those who needed to reschedule, but didn't know when they were going to reschedule their wedding date for. So we had a lot of those clients who said, hey, unfortunately, wedding date can't happen. It got called off. However, we don't know where we want to move it. We still want to use you guys, but we just don't know, what do we do? And the answer to that is we typed up a freeze contract late March of last year. We typed up a freeze contract where it essentially puts almost a credit for Val Cinema. It puts your whole package on hold. So your deposit paid does not get lost. Once that date gets solidified, just let us know what that is. We'll move that deposit and apply it there and move the entire package. So that's what we really have been able to do for COVID. And normally there's a rescheduling fee of $250 that has been waived. If it's due to COVID that you have to reschedule, we'll waive that fee for you. So that's how we've really been handling COVID, is just by counteracting it with levels of flexibility. And how does your booking process work? So really booking process, before going through all of those variables, the first thing I really want to do is make sure we have the right package. So I would say that's the next step would be either setting up a phone call, sending an email, whatever that may be. And we'll give you some of that here in a little bit as far as where you can send that to. But that's the first thing I want to make sure is we're not saying, Sean, I need the classic package for both services. How do I book you? You're like, I have no problem. You want to send us that email, send us that. But I promise my reply is going to be like, are you sure you only need 6 hours, or is 6 hours too much? That's what I want to make sure. So that's really the first step, is making sure that logistic works. And then once that variable is done, then we definitely move into more of a contract and deposit standpoint. Here, we do not require the full balance. What we actually do is just half up front, flat 50%, and then half 2 weeks before your wedding date. You don't have to worry about processing, like finding a hidden portal or anything like that. We actually do electronic signature for all of our contracts. Really accessible and easy. And then we also do invoicing. So we can go ahead and, set up invoices accordingly for you guys too. And then, I got a couple questions I'm going to get here in a second. But this is my email, Sean@ValCinema. Please send me an email. If you have any questions about us, it's definitely something I'm going to answer a couple of the questions. We are trying to wrap this up right at or around 7. So I'm going to answer a couple, but please email me some additional questions if I can't get to it. And if you haven't seen any of our work, definitely check out valcinema.com. That's where you can see full video portfolio as well as photography portfolio. Well, let me answer just a couple of these if I can real quick, Teresa.
That's fine. I can't see him, so it's all you.
All right. Let me see. When do I have to book? Hold on 1 second. When do I have to book my... Oh, sorry. I misread that. When do I have to book by before my wedding? Like, are you guys booking up fast? Good question. It's a different dynamic that I've sensed. 4 years, going on 4.5 years is how long we've been here, and it is a completely different feel that I have for brides that I'm talking to. I always make a joke. You'll probably hear it if we end up talking a little bit more. Battle of the Brides. It's just something I joke about, but you have to realize, like, normally Battle of the Brides is I'm battling for brides getting married this year. And next year and whatever that is, but no, you're dealing with brides who weren't also able to get married last year. So like that's doubling up. So there's coming into this year, we already had a little bit as far as just caution that we had for some of our dates. We had no concerns last year going into the year, but this year we already know, like, okay, we got to keep an eye out for this date. And once it hits this threshold, I'm sorry, we're no longer available. Like there's that sort of that we've felt. But then we're also booking like almost years in advance. So we actually have a couple clients who've secured for fall of 2023. And I mean, they secured like right at the beginning of the year. So we're talking about almost like 3 years out, like that's where people are. And so with the average being closer to a 6 to 12 month out, that's what it was for the last 3 years. I'm dealing with a lot more couples who are either last minute, trying to secure services like getting married this year, or ones reaching out because there's just lack of availability right now in the industry. When would I get the video back after the ceremony? Good question. So on our contract, it states a 90-day guarantee after the wedding. You'll have all of your videos. And if we're a day late, it will result in a full refund. So it's stated real bold there. On average, just know our turnaround has been between 8 to 10 weeks, though. We've hit that for the last 2 years. And obviously our goal, like we would love nothing more than to shrink that down, but also obviously produce quality. We don't want to just rush your video through and say, we done did our job in 30 days. Here's a video half put together. So we want to make sure that we maintain quality, but that is, just so you know, that is something that we would love to shorten, year after year, month after month. So we're trying to connect the dots on there by just making sure we're not doing it at the expense of lower quality. So let me see. When would I get the video back? Got that one. How common is it for couples to have a second shooter when hiring videography services? Good question, Renee. It's common.
This is his thinking face. Don't worry.
Yeah. It's my thinking face. Sorry, guys, I'm live. Hello. My name is Sean. I'm not all put together. But no, I would say I'm going to answer that. But before that, what I want to preface is there's nothing more that I love than helping. I know it's going to sound cliche, but stick with me, guys. But there's nothing more that I love than helping brides whenever they come to me and they just feel exhausted and they're coming to Val Cinema's doorstep. Literally, I can sense it on the phone where they just feel like hopeless. They feel helpless. They feel
overwhelmed,
and the industry is looking down on them because you have to have this much money to be able to book our services. Like, yeah, okay, I'll lay it out. You have to have right around $1,650 to book Val Cinema. So that's the blunt upfront kind of Sean. But I will say that there are people who almost come to us feeling just heartbroken because the industry is demanding closer to $3,000 for most videography companies, and coming to us and saying like I could just sense in their voice. They're like, I have 1,500 to 2,000, maybe 25. Like, just say what it is, and I have no problems. But that right there is it just breaks my heart. And so to answer your question about when is it needed, I would say if there's room in the budget, you can't go wrong. Like view this as an investment. That's what you're really doing, is the more that you put into the video and the more that you put into the photo, the more you're going to get a return. But if you just put in one videographer and you just put in a highlight film and 6 hours of coverage, then yeah, like Val Cinema, we want to give you a good return on that. But if you want to put in a second videographer and you have the budget to do that, then absolutely, I'm not going to steer away, because it is going to give our editing staff a whole different array of footage, a whole different angle, like all of those variables. So it is going to impact your highlight film slightly, as what, like the quality in a good way, as well as your documentary edit if you add that on. And same with the raw footage files. You're going to have a lot more raw footage files. So there are a lot of those variables that you're almost taking it and multiplying it almost by 2. So yeah, you're going to have a really good array of options and a good quality. But I will also say that because Val Cinema has built a reliable company on one videographer, and we don't need 2 videographers, that has then allowed me to back up my first point, which is service you when you have a tighter budget, because you don't have to come to me with this amount of money. And then because of my lack of systems, my lack of training, my lack of team that we have, you have to have 2 videographers. Like, no, let me save you $800 by just putting a hammer down on my team and figuring out and connecting the dots on how can we successfully do it when it's just you by yourself. Like, that's the conversation we've had with our team. And I would say why we've serviced the amount of brides that we've serviced, and why we have been able to help a lot of clients, because you don't have to have all of those variables. So Renee, I don't know if that answers it. If you want to, talk a bit more, please email me, Renee. But that's just the only times it's common is whenever clients have excess budget, or whenever they're dealing with a similar time for getting ready. As I was mentioning about this second photographer, where it's completely 2 different separate locations, then sometimes, they want us there for that moment. But honestly, we've done a lot of mock getting ready. So we'll just meet with the groom for 15, 20 minutes, have him take his coat off, put it back on. Like, that's getting ready in a nutshell. We won't make you, redo the makeup, take the dress off, put it back up. We won't do any of that. So we can do it with one, is what I feel comfortable with. And I want you guys to as well.
And I think we have one more quote. No, we're good. All right. So I believe that's it. Yeah, for the question. Don't go away yet, you guys.
No, I think we're good for right now. But yeah, if you carry on, Teresa, I can keep an eye out for it.
Cool. Awesome. Well, thank you, Sean. And make sure you grab his information down from this slide and follow us on our Instagram and our Facebook for more webinar things. Again, thank you for coming and joining us. This is our first webinar. So the fact that you're a part of this experience for us is really important. So thank you. And to thank you, we will do a really quick raffle. I have your little names all written down, my little 3 names. So who's taking home a $25 Amazon gift card? And just for being here, just as a thank you. And also we will email this to you. So just be on the lookout for an email with your money. All right, so let's go ahead and do this. All right, and we have Miss Tiffany. I accidentally put a Y, but I meant to put an I. All right, Tiffany, we're going to be emailing you, so be on the lookout for that $25 gift card from Amazon from us. And thank you again from the bottom of our hearts for joining us and just being a part of this experience to learn and grow with each other and grow as you plan your wedding. So join us on April 19th for our episode 2. I do need help planning my wedding. There's nothing wrong with needing help. We're here to help. And thank you guys again. We are Sean and Teresa with Val Cinema, and we'll see you guys next time. Always and forever. Bye, guys.